Happy FriBaT to you. It's another Friday Beers and Tools with Andy. Start off with an apology. I had some issues with my camera earlier, and so the beer that I'm going to review for you right now is already gone. So I have to reshoot everything that I just did. So you have to take my word for it. This week's beer is actually a ginger beer. It's called Matzo's Ginger Beer. Matzo's is a bit of a boutique brewer in Broome, Western Australia, far northwestern Australia, and they send it around Australia, of course. Decided to try a ginger beer for you this week, just to mix it up a little bit, because I'm over beer. Who am I kidding? I love beer, but I do like a ginger beer as well. It is an alcoholic ginger beer. It's this is 0.9 standard drinks in a standard stubby size, and that equates to 3.5% alcohol. Right, what can I tell you about the Matzo's ginger beer? It's really refreshing. It's not too gingery. Sometimes some ginger beer manufacturers make a really heavy ginger beer. This one's really nice. It would be really nice with a dash of Bundaberg rum in it, and that makes something that Aussies are probably familiar with. It's called a dark and stormy, but that's a separate story. Might have to review one of them one day as well. But drinking it by itself, very refreshing. Again, it's the sort of thing I could see sitting around a pool, drinking a couple of these, or even refreshing after doing the mowing or whatever else like that. So the Matzo's Ginger Beer. What do I rate it out of my spanner rating? This is a really nice alternative to beer if you get sick of beer. Again, who gets sick of beer? But sometimes you feel like something different. It's very nice for that. So for my spanner rating, I give this a 4 spanners out of 5 for drinking. All right, this week sort of follows on a little bit from last week's trim removal tools. The kit that I posted last week, which wasn't the kit that I own, the larger kit, the 29-piece kit, actually comes with these pliers in them. So it's a good way to buy them. If you buy them separately, like I did before those bigger kits were available, these are around about $20, which is a little bit expensive for a cheap Chinese type set of pliers, but they are quite useful. What do they do? So you can see there, a little bit hard to see in that light, it has 2 sets of forks. The bottom set stays on the trim. The second set goes underneath the clip, the little plastic clip that you're trying to remove, and then when you squeeze them, it separates, pulls the center of the plastic clip up. You don't destroy anywhere near as many plastic clips with this type of tool, although if they're plastic clips inside engine bays where you get the heat soak, or the heat cycle I should say, there's not a lot you can do. You're going to be replacing plastic clips. It does do a better job than a couple of screwdrivers underneath your plastic trim, and as I mentioned last week, screwdrivers do mark trim really easily, so this is much gentler and a more specific tool for that type of work. As I mentioned, it is available in that bigger kit that I showed you last week. That's a better way to buy it in my opinion, but you can buy them separately if you already have the trim removal tools, as I did. It's a great addition. They were only worth about $20 I think on eBay, but like I said, if you're starting out and you want the trim removal kit and a set of these, buy the whole set. That way you've got them all. Okay, this week's bigger tool is a brand new unboxing, which I'm unboxing for the second time now because I did that in the first video. Really like the M12 range for its size and compactness. It is an expensive die grinder because that's effectively what it is. And if you've already started building your tool collection and you've got a decent air compressor, an air die grinder is much cheaper option. The problem with an air die grinder is that you need to have your compressor with you, and if you're remote or if you're working well away from your compressor, you either have to have a very long compressor line or a movable compressor. This gets around that in that it's a compact M12, takes the standard M12 batteries and has the 6mm collet already in it. 6mm, I think that's also the same as quarter, and it has the LED light here as well, like most of the Milwaukee range. It does come with an 8mm collet as well. Don't see a lot of 8mm, maybe somebody will tell me otherwise, but 6mm or 1/4 inch is the standard. One of the big advantages is you can put a .co type grinding pad or buffing pad, scrubbing pad into these, and I'll show you that in a video, either here or here. So this is the Milwaukee FDGA-0, the right angle die grinder. It is part of the fuel range, so it is a brushless motor. The specs on this tiny little motor here is that it is a 0.3 horsepower motor. I find that incredible. I don't have any reason to doubt Milwaukee, but I just find that incredible that that's 1/3 of a horsepower motor. It is 119mm in length this distance, and I think without the battery it's 201 mils tall. It only weighs 550 grams. I forgot to convert that into pounds, so I'll put that up here. I don't think that includes the battery. I'm pretty sure Milwaukee quotes their weights without the battery installed. Okay, about the actual unit. Like if you're familiar with air die grinders, they have a trigger on the side here, and they usually have a lock to prevent accidental grabbing of the trigger and turning. Just like an air die grinder, move that to this side and away you go. That's on maximum speed setting. That's 24,500 RPM. Very quiet. It also has the battery indicator on the side, like all Milwaukee tools. And one disappointing thing that I think Milwaukee could have got ahead of the market with was that it still comes with spanners to be able to lock off your collet. Surely they could have come up with, in this day and age of spannerless drill chucks, etc., they could have come up with a toolless chuck. Anyway, that's maybe one to go back to Milwaukee. Once you've thrown out your box, then you've got to, where do I put the spanners so that they're always to do with this kit as well as the spare collet. But if you're organised in your toolkit, that's not so much of a problem. It has 4 speed settings. It's got the Milwaukee push button speed setting on the back here, and you see the light changes each push position. Setting 1 goes from 0 to 10,000 RPM, setting 2 goes from 0 to 15,000 RPM, setting 3 goes from 0 to 20,000 RPM, and the top speed, setting 4, goes up to 24,500 RPM. Right. I do like Milwaukee M12 gear. It's compact, it's light, it's powerful. Do you really need a battery-powered die grinder? No, definitely not. This is more of a specialty tool. It doesn't have the multiple uses, although, as I said, it is a die grinder and you can put your .co disc on here and things like that. So I guess it has a couple of uses, but it's not quite as flexible in its use as a drill or even an impact wrench. Very handy little addition to my M12 setup, and of course I bought the bare tool because I've already got the batteries and the charger. Okay, it retails at $279, I think. Yes, $279. and there doesn't seem to be any discounting in Australia for them. That seems to be a standard price across all of the tool places. My American friends will certainly understand these type of tools are a lot more expensive in Australia than what you pay in the States. I'm jealous. But it is what it is. Right, for value for money. It's not great value. It's a great tool, don't get me wrong. It's a great tool. It's very, I haven't used it yet, well, apart from what you'll see in the video where I'm demonstrating it, but I haven't used it in anger yet. It is a limited tool because it's limited in its purpose. So that makes it not so good value at $279. The big advantage is if you don't want to use air tools, and people are going away from air tools because of the powerability of lithium-ion batteries and brushless motors nowadays. If you're not buying air tools, then maybe put your money towards building this type of kit. I have both. I have had an air die grinder for many years. The flexibility is that I don't need to take my compressor with me. I can take it in the truck if I need to do something remote. It's light, there's no air hoses to get in my road, and batteries, I believe, run quite well or quite a long time on these little brushless motors, if it's anything like the other brushless M12 range that I've been using. So for value, I'm down to about a 2.5 out of 5 for the Australian dollars. I don't know what they're worth in the States. Maybe someone like Tony can tell me, but they're pretty expensive for what they are in Australia. For functionality and usability, because of the reasons that I just mentioned about lightness, compactness, no connection or requirement for an air compressor, pretty good functionality, although limited in its specific tasks. So I give it a 4 out of 5 for usability and functionality. So that's the M12 FDGA-0, or just FDGA. Anyway, that's it for this week's FriBaT. Hope you enjoyed that. Please like, share and subscribe. If you know of somebody who's into tools or into beers, please share it. Sit down and have a beer with me on a Friday afternoon, and I can review a tool hopefully you might not have seen before, or maybe you're thinking about getting, and hopefully I can help you decide whether or not you want to get it, or whether you need one even. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope things are good where you are. Please stay safe, stay inside, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.